Hey everyone, it's Mr. Sug coming at you with a little mini project. This time around, we're gonna focus on some Unit 1 stuff and kind of as a halfway point, put together pretty much a lot of the things that we've learned up until this point. Part of this mini project, I'm gonna require you to essentially build two classes, and we're gonna go ahead and let me just do this real quick. Actually, we're good. We're going to go ahead and create two objects, two classes, instantiate two objects from one of the class, the other class being the main class or tester class, and then we're going to go ahead and build a little menu, if you will, or a couple items we're going to serve at our restaurant. Okay, so the first thing I did was I might as well just change these. So this is through code.org. It's a good practice to come in and basically learn how to create a class from scratch. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this I don't know, uh let's call it let's just do sandwich shop to get a little bit creative. And then we're gonna have recipes for the various different sandwiches. Okay, so the main thing is remember that Java file and the class name have to match. In this case, I'm going to do something a little bit different than just creating just a regular old class, and that it will have the main keyword in it using public static void main string args, so that this will be my main class. This will be my quarterback. It'll be the one executing all the code essentially. And you instantiate two objects. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to need constructors. But right now, I don't have anything created in my recipe class. Okay, so one of the requirements was you need to have variables, at least a minimum of three. So let's go ahead and declare them. Uh, for the time being, we're going to keep them all private access. So we're going to do private string. Let's choose a bread. And I don't have to have any default value set. Let's do a private string meat. Let's do a private Boolean has cheese. Like, do you have cheese or not? Private Boolean has lettuce. And then why don't we go ahead and do, I don't know, like some sort of price just to finish this off. So private double price. Next thing we're going to do, once we've done that, is we're going to create our constructors. So again, we're going to use public, right? So the class is public, or sorry, the constructor is public. And instead of the word class, we're just going to type in recipe right away. And the first thing I'm going to do here, you'll see that there's nothing in the parentheses. So that is my no argument constructor, right? In other words, what's my default values? So if someone comes in and wants a sandwich, but they don't tell me what kind of sandwich they want, then I have to either run into an error or provide some sort of default values. So for this one, for bread, we're going to set that equal to, let's say, wheat. Let's be a little bit healthy. Meat, let's go ahead and use ham. And then for has cheese, let's default to yes, please. And then for has lettuce, we'll default to true as well. Finally, price. In my wonderful kingdom of cheap sandwiches, let's make that $2.50. There is my no argument constructor. Now I'm going to go ahead and make my parameterized constructor. So public recipe. I'm just going to go all the way. We're going to do string bread, string meat, Boolean has cheese, Boolean has lettuce, and finally we're going to do the double price. Keep in mind that my parameter, the names I'm using in the parameter are going to match the variables that I have within my class. So what I need to do to make sure that there's no crossing of values and overriding is we're going to go ahead and use this keyword. Because when I spawn a recipe, or sorry, instantiate a recipe object, I also say spawn, we're going to go ahead and make sure it retains all of the instances of this class. And that's what's going to happen with this keyword. So it basically localizes or attaches those values to that object you're going to create. That way, if someone else comes along and instantiates a different object, it doesn't cross over and try and override what I have. Okay, so this dot bread equals bread. This dot meat equals meat. This dot has cheese equals has cheese. So whatever. So basically, remember the assignment operator works like this. Anything on the right gets assigned to anything on the left. So anything on the right, you'll notice the has cheese, meat, bread is going to be whatever came in from the arguments here for these parameters in the method. And then this dot price equals price. All right, so that's done. I'm going to go ahead and write a method in a minute. I told my class for this mini project, you can use the scanner if you want to be a little bit more interesting. I have a video on that. I do not want them using ChatGPT or AI. I want it to be their own code because they don't know this yet, but they're going to have to write and explain their code later as part of the assignment. And then they need to know that you can collaborate and help debug, but the idea has to be your own. Okay, so if you want to use the debug duck, go for it. Okay, so for my method, let's go ahead and before I get to the method, I suppose, let's go ahead and run things and just see if there's any problems right now. Okay, so everything's running clean, so that's wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and go back to sandwich shop and let's finish off our instantiation of objects. I'll worry about the method in a minute. Um, okay, so the first one, let's go ahead and make a sandwich. Sorry, not sandwich shop. It's the recipe class, the recipe object called Julian, and that's a new keyword with recipe, and we're going to do no argument um, constructor using default values. And then we're going to do recipe, who Alan equals new recipe. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and tell it what it wants. So the bread, if I just remember the constructor's order, right? We had bread, meat, cheese. So bread is going to be, let's go with white, or actually you seem like a sourdough person, Alan. Meat, we'll go with turkey. And then let's just say lettuce, yes. Cheese and lettuce, yes. And the price will be, $3. Go and run these, see if it runs clean. No errors are coming up, which is great. So I don't, unless I have logical errors, which could be a case, I don't see them yet. Okay, so now we need to do a last requirement, essentially in the tester class or main class, which is to just use one method for each object. So, I mean, I could go the easy, well, all these are pretty easy, but I could go with the route of just returning whether or not what their meat is or whatever. Um, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and update the price. Why not? So I'm going to do public void inflation runner. We're going to go ahead and let's assume there's some sort of inflation. I'm going to go ahead and bring in some sort of value, so double percentage, right? In this day and age, there's tariffs and whatever, right? And there's also inflation rampant. So let's go ahead and focus on the fact that maybe my prices will go up. So I got public void inflation runner. What this is going to do is you're going to tell me what percent the inflation is, and then I'm going to go ahead and calculate the new price. So for price, what we're going to do is we're going to need to update that value because it's going to be price times 3%. But there's more to it, right? We need to do 1.03. So I'm going to just put a quick comment here. Takes original price and multiplies by 103%. Okay. So that's if we have our historical 3% inflation. But remember, I'm asking, or essentially you get to, or whoever's instantiate, or whoever's calling the method, sorry, is going to determine what that percentage is. So I'm going to do 1.03%, which is by 103%. I'm going to go ahead and do 1, parentheses 2, 1 plus percentage. Can't type. Percentage. Let's go ahead and run this, see if it just makes sure I didn't make any syntax errors here. And it looks good, which is wonderful. And then while I'm at it, I know I only require one method to be made, but I'm going to go ahead and do a public. In this case, I want the updated price. So public, or sorry, I don't know what I'm doing here. Public new price, right? And this is just going to go ahead and return price. So I want to know what that new updated price is so I can see it. When I go to, I'll run it just to make sure. So every like little chunk of code that I write, I want to make sure there's errors, and I see there's an error. What is the problem? Oh, I didn't specify return type. Whoopsie. So that should be double. It's the end of the day, so I'm not necessarily firing on all cylinders. There we go. Okay, so then I can go back here and let's go ahead and use Julian. I'm gonna go ahead and do the what I forget the name of the method already, inflation runner. Let's go ahead and add you at the 3%, which is historical inflation. And I'm gonna go ahead and print The updated sandwich price is, use a concatenation here, and then we're going to do, oh, silly me, we did Julian.inflation runner, but where are we storing it? I'm going to go ahead and store this in, let's go ahead and make a new variable, right? So you might be thinking, what are you worried about, like storing this? So Julian.inflation runner 0.03 is going to spit out a number. Remember here where I made the method, right? Oh, I also didn't do one other thing. Oh, it's a void though. We're going to update the price. My bad. But when I update price, in this case, do I need to store it anywhere? I don't know. We'll find out. But for the price for Julian is there. So we're going to go ahead and print what? It's going to be Julian. I should have just done get price or something. That would have been a lot easier. New price. We'll see if it prints it correctly. I could be wrong here. And there we go. I'll worry about the truncation and rounding later. I'm not going to worry about that right now in unit 1 yet, until we finish the math class. Okay, so that works. And then, right, it wasn't $2.50. It's 3% more than that. And let's go ahead and use Allen to do inflation runner. And let's make it, just for fun, let's make it a whole 100%. And let's go ahead and print out the updated sandwich price is, it'll be Allen dot new price. And there we go. So Allen's price was $3, and then 100% on top of that is going to be double, so $6. Pretty cool, right? So there you go. That's it for just kind of working on the preliminary stuff. So just as a recap, we were able to make a or sorry, we were able to create two classes, sandwich shop and recipe. Sandwich shop has the main keywords, it's the main class. That's going to run all the code. Recipe is just going to have all my variables declared and constructors to build those recipe objects that are going to go ahead and run these. In my case, I made two different methods. You only needed one with parameters, one without in this case. And then I instantiate those two objects. And then I use those two objects to call those methods and print the new price. I hope that helps. And let me know if you have questions. But congrats on finishing at least, half of Unit 1.